Racing prep and warm-up. For the TTT program, I have done over 200 video and made it available for you. That video is one of the most important video, racing prep and warm-up. You have been training for so long to be able to maximize your potential, and you've got the best bike that money can buy. You are prepped, you've gone to the gym so many times, you've done all your acceleration, you've did your plyo test, you've invested into your training program, all that so that you can go to the race and perform well. It would be a shame if you were to not perform at your best simply because you did not warm up properly and you did not go over the racing prep. It happened to me so many times in my racing career where I would show up on races, go with a bunch of people on a race, and nothing was organized. I did not know my itinerary. I did not quite know when my practice would be, when the race would start, how many motos, and so on and so on. And all of these mistakes has caused me to not being able to warm up properly before my race. And I show up on the gate and I did not perform well. It's pretty easy for an athlete to ride really well on a Saturday afternoon with friends at your local track. But it comes a point where when you become a professional rider, you have to be able to ride your best on demand. What I mean by that is that I don't need you to break a world record on your local track at 6 p.m. with your friend when you warmed up, when you're awake and everything feels good on a good day. What I need you to do is to be able to ride your best at 6 a.m. on a track that you're not familiar with, on a foreign country somewhere with jet lag. That's where real professionalism kicks in. I'm going to go over the preps with you so that you are very well organized for your races. Number one, athlete must know the itinerary of the race. Very important. Practice time, race time, total numbers of moto for that day, and the personal moto number. So in other words, how many moto total does the race has? What is your personal moto numbers? What are your gate starts? How many practice heats are you going to have? And what are your practice time? Every morning of the race, the first thing you have to do, your coach, or if you go by yourself, you need to look at all these moto details and write it down, so that way everything will be organized and you'll be able to prepare all of those laps throughout the entire weekend. Number two, athlete must study and know by heart all of the warm-up routine. They must become a habit. Those warm-up routines are not that complicated. It is something that you're going to do over and over and over. It just has to be done right. I will explain it a little bit later on a video, but however, just make sure that you know your time, your itinerary, and so that you can do those warm-up routine and always prepare your laps. Number three, athlete must arrive on site in time to perform a warm-up routine 1 hour before practice time or race time if no practice. There are days that you're not going to have practice. You're going to show up to the track, and soon as you put your wheel on that gate, it's going to be a quarterfinal or 8 final or your motos. So it's going to be important. So obviously you are going to have to be perfectly warmed up, ready to hit it hard, right? And then same thing for practice. I used to make the mistake to warm up during my practice time. Depending on how big the race is going to go and how many people, I mean, there are races you're going to get lucky if you get 3 laps. So you have to look at the track from the bleacher and guess what you need to be doing. There's a double. Okay, I think I'm going to manual this. I'm going to pump this. I'm going to jump this. I see that I'm probably going to jump these. And you kind of have to have a plan of what you need to be doing before you even jump on the track. And if you only have 3 laps to get used to the track, you can't afford to have 1 lap to slowly warm up. All right, so you have to treat that first lap, that first practice lap, as if it were to be a race. You go on, you're fully warmed up, you tried what you have already planned to do. Then if it goes smoothly, then great. You don't have to think twice about it. If there is a couple things that you've misjudged, and I guess what, that double is pretty big, I had to kick it pretty hard, you know what, I think manualing will be a lot faster to do. So next thing you know, your second lap, you can try that on. And by your third lap, you need to treat it as if it were a moto. You just get on that gate, go as fast as you can, first line, second line, third line, fourth line, whatever configuration of the track. But you need to treat that last practice lap as if it were to be a full moto, so that way when you come into your real moto, then you already have a feel of what it's going to be like for you to push it hard throughout the whole track. Number 4, athlete must bring his own food and water for the day. Do not rely on other people or food vendor. That's another one that's important. It happened to me many times where I show up to a race, I was not organized, I didn't have water with me, and I would just go and do my practice, and next thing you know, I'm starting to be thirsty, and now I have to finish the whole practice dehydrated because I didn't have water with me and no one was around to give me some water. I need you to pay attention to one thing. When you watch the Olympics, on any discipline, you look at all the athletes, they are all trained for this. They are all perfectly organized. They show up to whatever their discipline is, and they are ready to do what they have been trained to do. Everything that you have done, the training that you've done for TTP, is to be able to do the exact same thing. So you have to also be organized when you show up to your race. Make sure you have plenty of water so that you can keep your body hydrated. Make sure that you have food, good quality food with you so that you can always feed your body. Sometimes, depending on races, you're not going to have time to go eat somewhere. So you have to make sure that you have some sort of protein bars or banana, something healthy that can get you the fuel that you need for you to go through that day. Number 5, if location or weather permits, warm-up preps must be performed on a BMX bike, preferred. If not, athlete must perform warm-up routine on a bike roller. Athlete must bring her own bike roller to every races. Most of the time, you will be able to do your warm-up on your BMX bike. There will be a track, you'll be close to a street, or even indoor track, you'll be a designated area for you to just ride there. So most of the time, all the warm-up will be done on a BMX bike. So you'll be able to pedal around, you'll be able to do little partial sprints to just get your body going. There will be some track out there, however, that they won't allow you to even go on the street. And depending on the track, sometimes the track don't even have a good rideable ground. Like there are track out there that you have the track and there's a bleacher and everything else is just a bunch of rocks or loose dirt or thorns. So there will be races out there that you're going to go to and you're not going to have a place to ride your bike to warm up properly. In that case, you will have to do it with your bike roller. So that's basically what you're going to be needing to bring all the time. So if you go to a track where you know how it's going to be, like let's say as an example, like the Grand National, you know, that indoor track, everybody knows that building. If you've been there quite a few times, you will have plenty of space for you to ride your bike there. So in that case, you already know what you're getting into, so you may not need to bring your bike roller. But however, if you go to a track that you've never seen before, and it happened to be one of those darn tracks where you can't ride your bike, then you won't be able to do your warm-up well. And that's going to be a big problem. Bring the roller just in case. Take it apart, put the railing with your bike, and then just put the roller in your suitcase. And next thing you know, if that situation happens, you will have what you need to make sure that you can warm up and ride your best on the track. Number 6. BMX bike must be equipped with a removable high seat post, allowing full extension of the leg for active recovery. That's important. When you're going to be done doing your race, first thing you're going to do is your active recovery. You're going to have to pedal your bike for like 5 minutes to cool down. So it's going to be important that you bring your seat up so that you can pedal with full leg extension so that you can really do a proper active recovery and remove all the lactic acid that you have built up throughout your moto. And also in the morning when you're going to wake up, you're going to have to do your warm-up. you're gonna have to pedal for 5 minutes to just get your heart going. So again, it's gonna be important that your legs move well and you cannot be all tucked into your BMX bike. So make sure that you have a high seat post on your BMX bike that you can easily remove or adjust. Number 7, athlete must bring her own heart rate monitor and stopwatch on every race. Here's why this is important. During your warm-up workouts, we're going to go over all that in a minute. There are times that you're going to do active recovery, and there are times that you're going to need to bring your heart pretty high. The reason why I want you to bring your heart rate monitor is so that we can know exactly where you need to be. If you've never done that before, you're gonna have to have your heart rate to at least do it once. I don't want you to pedal too hard to a point where you get yourself tired, but I don't want you to just hold back too much to a point where you don't warm up properly because you're afraid of getting tired. So heart rate monitor, if you've never done that before, it's important because we'll be able to target that. Now, if you've been racing for a long time, you've gone through the whole TTP program, you know what 50% of your heart rate looks like, you know what 60% of your heart rate looks like, and so on and so on. Then there'll come a point where you will not need to always bring your heart rate monitor. You're just going to know that, hey, I need to pedal active recovery and I just need to bump up the intensity a little bit. But for the first few times, I recommend you to have it. However, the stopwatch will be very important because you are constantly going to need to prepare your laps. So this is how it's going to go. A common mistake that BMX athletes are making when they go to the races is failing to plan their days around their motos. And what I mean by that is if you have 500 motos, let's say you are at moto 349, how long is that going to take for you to get your moto? And if you quite don't know that or you're not quite sure about it, what ends up happening is you end up going to your shoot 30 minutes before your moto, just waiting and waiting and waiting. And as an athlete, as a sprinter, which is what we are, BMX racer, it's not good for you to just stay still passively on your bike until the time where you have to fire up when the gates drop. What you need to do is have a time frame. Usually, the way most BMX races are done, you want to calculate about 20 seconds per gate. That's a very safe number to count on. So in other words, the gates drop, there is one moto. 20 seconds later, there's another moto that's going to drop. You're going to have maybe 2 or 3 moto on that same track, especially on big race when they're trying to go fast. The moto is going to go. The moto is going to turn pretty quick, but 20 seconds per moto, it's a safe bet. So what we want to do is calculate that and estimate how much time do you have until your next moto. So if one moto equals 20 seconds, I wrote it down for you to make it easy. Then if one moto is 20 seconds, then 100 moto is 2000 seconds. And so divide that by 60 seconds, 1 minute, that makes it to 33.3 minutes. So it's very safe to say that 100 races will be 33.3 minutes, and it will make it even more on the safe side to make sure that you don't miss any moto. We'll make it 30 minutes. So now we've got something to calculate. So one moto is 20 seconds, therefore 100 motos is 30 minutes wait period. So then it's easy to calculate. One moto 20 seconds, 50 moto 15 minutes, 100 moto 30 minutes, 200 motos 1 hour, 300 motos 1 hour and a half, 400 motos 2 hours, and then so on and so on. So therefore, if you have 400 motos until your next race, you know that minimum you've got 2 hours easy. So use that 2 hours and do something productive with it. Go get yourself a healthy meal. A lot of time on that track, you've been eating protein bars, bananas, or whatever you have. Maybe it's a good time for you to get yourself a solid meal. Well, for sure, it's a safe bet to say that you at least have 2 hours to do that. All right. So that's the mindset that you want to have. So if you've got your warm up and the warm up take 20 minutes, well, you know that 100 motos is 30 minutes. So if you're at Moto 200 and they're racing Moto 99, 100, then you know that you can use this time to start doing your proper warm-up as opposed to go on those shoot and waiting and waiting and waiting. It's very important for you to have an idea of the time that you have between all of your laps so that you can use this time productively and do something important with it. So make sure that you keep track of your time at all time. Do not rely on anybody. You got yourself a watch, watch the time, study the motos, and start doing your work. Now, as far as the warm-up, this is what we're going to be doing. You're going to have a warm-up 1. The first warm-up is what you're going to do first thing in the morning. So if you have the bike roller, you can actually do it on your hotel room if you want to. So you're going to do 20 to 30 minutes before practice or race time. Again, practice or race is the morning you're going to wake up, you're not going to have practice. So that warm-up will be for your first race. And like I explained earlier, if you do have practice, you still want to care about those practice as if they were to be a race, all right? So that you're very comfortable with the track. So nevertheless, 20 to 30 minutes before practice or races, you're going to do 5 minutes at 50 to 60% of your max heart rate. So that's going to be just active recovery. Very easy. Then you're going to do 5 minutes, 60 to 70%, which is going to bump up the intensity a little bit more. Then 10 seconds on at 100%. So you're just going to go as fast as you can. We need to bring your heart up really high so that you're very well warmed up. Then you're going to do 1 minute off, active recovery. By the way, 1 minute off, you keep on pedaling. You just pedal like active recovery. Just pedal slow for 1 minute, and then we're going to do another 10-second sprint at 100%. So go as fast as you can, bring your heart up, bring your right up, and then after that you can just do 5 minutes at 50 to 60%, and you can go by feel. If you want to do more, 7 or 10 minutes, depending on the time, it's completely up to you. Go by feel. But the reason why those 10 seconds are important is that when you wake up in the morning, your heart is pretty low, okay? The first time that it's gonna take to bring your heart up, it's quite difficult. The body is still sleeping, the heart doesn't wanna go up. But as you probably noticed during your interval workout, once you've been at 100% of your heart rate, it's pretty easy to get it there. In other words, if you wake up in the morning and want to try to hit, let's say, 180 beats per minute. That's going to be hard. Your leg's going to burn. That heart's not going to want to go there. But once it gets there, then you can recover, bring back the heart to 100, 120, whatever it is. And then one sprint, it's going to go right back to 180. And so that's what you're looking for. If your heart hasn't been up there, hasn't been warmed up, what's going to happen is the gate's going to drop and you're going to find yourself tired on the track because your heart is not pumping fast enough, and you're going to build up a whole lot of lactic acid, and your leg's going to be heavy, and it's going to show on your technique, and also going to show on your time as well. So make sure that you bring your heart pretty high at least one time in the morning. If you followed your program, by then you're so in shape that these little 10 seconds will not tire you up. It's only going to actually fire you up. So it's going to be very important for you to do these 10 seconds. Then what you're going to do is 30 to 60 seconds before your race time. So I'm talking about when you are called, when you're in your shoot and you are called right behind the gate. I don't want you to sit down on your bike passively waiting on your race. You constantly need to be moving. So what I wrote down here is 3 seconds, move your leg, shake your legs, and then 3 seconds of leg bouncing, like things like that. Don't sit passively. Then shake it again, give it a rest for 10 seconds, then 50 seconds, then you do that again. You will do that all the way until it's time for you to put that bike on that gate and then go. This is to prevent you from just sitting down on your bike and waiting passively. If you studied all the serious athletes on any discipline before Olympics, you will never see anybody, especially sprinter, that's just going to be sitting there passively waiting to do their sprint. Yet in BMX racing, we see that all the time, and it's a huge mistake. Your body has to be constantly active in order for it to explode up and give it its maxed effort. So Again, keep your leg moving, bounce a little bit, keep your leg moving, rest a little bit. It's still not your race, do it again. Do that over and over. Place your bike on that gate, and then that's where you are going to be ready to do your full-on sprint for that race. Okay, so now this was the first warm-up of the morning, okay? Now in BMX, because we know we're going to do one race and then we're going to wait for 3 hours, especially in the moto time, or sometimes 4 hours depending on how many motos there are, it's going to be important to repeat that every time that you're going to be racing. However, you're going to do it a little bit shorter than that. The body's already been awake. Now we just need to fire it up again. So the warm-up 2 will be for when your motos are more than 30 minutes apart. Okay, so I would say 15 to 20 minutes before your race. So like I said, according to our calculation that we've had earlier, I would say about 60 races before your actual race. So 60 moto before your actual race, you want to do a little warm up. Same kind of thing you just did in the morning, but a little bit less. So we're just going to do 2 minutes, 50 to 60%. So just get on your roller or get your bike and pedal around if you have the room to do so. So 2 minutes at 50 to 60%, then 2 minutes at 60 to 70%, just bump the intensity a little bit more, and then you're going to give me a big 5 second of 100%, a big old sprint. So if you are on your BMX bike, you can actually stop from a dead start and give me a great 5 second sprint to really fire up your leg. You've been sitting on those bleachers for 3 hours. It needs to wake up again. Then after that, you are going to do 2 minutes, 50 to 60%. You can go by feel here a little bit. So if you want to do another sprint, it's up to you. Don't get yourself tired, but think about getting yourself fired up again. And then you can just ride 2 minutes, 50 to 60%, or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, depending on how you feel. Just peek at your races, how moto they are. Are we getting close? Are we not getting close? Just keep track of that. At least you did your warm up. And then of course, once you are called for your shoots, then same thing apply again. You're going to do 3 seconds interval of leg moving, leg bouncing, leg moving, leg bouncing. You're going to rest for 10 seconds. You're going to do it again. You are going to do exactly what you did in the morning, and you are going to do that the entire weekend. Always doing the same thing. Warm you up, do your lap, active recovery, and then you rest. Back to the warm up, move up, get on the gate, do your lap, a little bit of active recovery, and then you rest again. Third moto, quarterfinal, 8th final, and so on and so on. You are going to do this little warm-up process every single time to make sure that when that gate drop, you can ride at the best of your capacity. Warm-up 3, for when the race are 30 minutes and less apart. So now you've gone through your transfer, your moto transfer. Now it's time for the finals. So the 8 finals or 16 final, 8 finals, quarterfinals, things are going to start getting moving pretty quick here. So especially if you're racing on many categories, or cruiser class or open class or your class bike or whatever it is, you may be racing a whole lot. So at this point, the laps are going to be so close from each other that we don't need to go through the same process again. You can just keep on pedaling your bike and it's going to be fine. So the warm-up 3, when the race are 30 minutes of less, so 15 to 20 minutes before your race, you're going to go 2 minutes at 50 to 60%. So just active recovery. So the only thing that we're going to do at this stage of the race is just keep you away from sitting on a bench. So you're just going to ride your bike, pedal around, get to your shoot. Move your legs, do those little interval, bounce a little bit, get on that gate, you do your lap. As soon as you finish your lap, you are going to do 5-minute active recovery. Do the same process over and over. And all these things that you've done throughout the day will make it so that you are able to really maximize your potential on the day of your race. When the race is completely over and you're back at your hotel room, I need you to give me 20 minutes of active recovery, removing all the lactic acid that you've built up by doing all of these sprints from your race, from your warm-up sprint. I just need you to pedal your bike for 20 minutes at 50 to 60% active recovery, and then 20 minutes of stretching. Now it's time for you to stretch, get in the shower, go to bed, and you are going to do all the same thing again the next day as well, and you're going to do this the whole weekend. So that's it for the warm-up video. Get it into your head, learn it by heart. Once you go to your races, you have a job to do. Do it and do it well. Get used to the system so that it's completely a habit to you. Go through all of these warm-up and go to your race and do well.